Imagine two armies fighting for 10 years. 10 years. That's longer than you've been alive if you're watching this in 5th grade. Thousands of soldiers, hundreds of ships, the greatest warriors in the world swinging swords at each other every single day. And neither side could win. Until one person said, "What if we just pretend to leave?" And that one idea ended the war overnight. This is the story of the Trojan War, and specifically the Trojan Horse. Now, you might have heard of it. Maybe you've seen it in a movie or a cartoon. But here's what most people get wrong. They think it was just a clever trick. It wasn't. It was the moment humanity learned one of the most important lessons in history. A lesson that still gets people today, thousands of years later. Let me set the stage. Around 1200 BC, that's over 3,000 years ago, the Greeks sailed across the sea to attack a city called Troy. Why? The short version. A Trojan prince named Paris took Helen, the queen of a Greek king, back to Troy. The Greek king was not happy about this. So he gathered every Greek army he could find, loaded them into over 1,000 ships, and sailed to Troy to get her back. The problem? Troy was basically a fortress. Massive walls, strong defenders. The Greeks couldn't get in. So they camped outside and fought, and fought, and fought for a decade. Now, imagine you're a Greek soldier. You've been away from your home for 10 years. You're tired. You're losing hope. And every morning you wake up, look at those giant walls, and think, we're never getting in there. Enter Odysseus. He wasn't the strongest Greek warrior. That was Achilles. He wasn't the most powerful king. This was the smartest. And he had an idea that sounded absolutely insane. "Build a giant wooden horse," he said. "Make it beautiful. Make it look like a gift to the gods. Then hide our best soldiers inside it and sail our ships away, so it looks like we gave up." The other Greeks probably thought he'd lost his mind. But they were desperate, so they did it. They built the horse. They hid warriors inside, cramped together in the dark, barely breathing, waiting. The rest of the Greek army sailed their ships behind a nearby island where Troy's lookouts couldn't see them. The next morning, the Trojans woke up and couldn't believe their eyes. The beaches were empty. The Greeks were gone. 10 years of war, and they just left? All that remained was this enormous wooden horse sitting outside the gates. Now here's where the lesson kicks in. Some Trojans were suspicious. A priest named Laocoon said the most famous warning in history: "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts." He begged them not to bring it inside. A woman named Cassandra, who could literally see the future, screamed that it was a trap. Nobody listened. Why? Because the Trojans wanted to believe the war was over. They wanted it so badly that they ignored every warning sign. They dragged the horse through their own gates, threw a massive victory party, drank until they passed out, and in the middle of the night, the Greek soldiers climbed out, opened the city gates, and the entire Greek army poured in. Troy fell in a single night. 10 years of war ended because people believed what they wanted to believe instead of what was actually true. And here's why this story still matters. Why people have been telling it for over 3,000 years. The Trojan horse isn't really about a horse. It's about a mistake that humans make constantly. We believe things that feel good instead of things that are true. Think about it in your own life. Have you ever known something was a bad idea? Maybe a friend was being sketchy. Maybe something online seemed too good to be true. But you went along with it anyway, because you wanted it to be real? That's the Trojan horse. Every scam that's ever worked, every lie that's ever been believed, every time someone ignored a warning because the truth was inconvenient. That's Troy, dragging the horse through its own gates. And here's the wildest part. We literally named a type of computer virus after this. A Trojan virus is a program that looks helpful, but hides something dangerous inside. 3,000 years later, and we're still falling for the same trick. The Trojans had every reason to be suspicious. They had people telling them it was a trap, but they chose comfort over caution, and it cost them everything. So the next time something seems too good to be true, a deal, a promise, a shortcut, remember Troy. Remember that the most dangerous lies are the ones we want to believe. The Greeks didn't win because they were stronger. They won because they understood something about human nature that's still true today. People will open the gate themselves if you give them a good enough reason to stop thinking. If you found this fascinating, hit subscribe, because next week we'll be covering another interesting piece of history that'll make you question everything you thought you knew.